These guys are full of nerves. They're trying to get a game plan while they do this every day on the ranch, and these events are very similar to what you would do on a ranch. Anytime you put something up against a clock, things change. Attitudes change from the horse's attitude to the rider's attitude. So these guys they're walking around that circle making a game plan. Now, if it's going to go this way, then you turn to the left, and you go ahead and lay your rope out and do all kinds of things like that. So while they do it every day, they know they're up against the clock, and the world championship title is at stake. So they're giving it all they've got.
It's coming from all sorts of directions in the United States. Anticipating for the first night of the first performance of the World Championship Ranch Rodeo, so they're eager. It's kind of like the dress rehearsal. Everyone's got to get out all the kinks.
First performance of the 20th anniversary American Ranch Cowboys Association World Championship. Good evening, everyone, and we welcome you to the 20th edition of the Working Ranch Cowboys Association World Championship. It's the Working Ranch Cowboys Association and the Lewis Boys. It is Steve and Carol Jack to ride for you tonight.
A grand entry to us is designed to get the people going. And you'll watch them when they carry their flag out. They have a different look on their face, an anticipation of excitement. 23 teams, and the average person doesn't understand. Gary Morton runs them quickly through there, and that's not just we have a time to get the rodeo done, but it's mainly to keep those guys motivated, to keep the audience up. So you'll see some of them go as fast as they can to one end to the other, and you'll see some just taking it in.
It's not like your regular rodeo. I mean, these are competitors, real cowboys that are out there doing what they do on the ranch. Great riders. They've developed skills that I still haven't developed. To have the association keep the culture and the heritage alive is something that we all have to support. If it wasn't for ranch cowboys, nobody would have ever heard of Ty Murray, Trevor Brazil, or any of the other rodeo cowboys, including myself. So we have so much to be thankful for that came from the ranching industry and the heritage and the culture that again, it's done so much for so many people. This is my second time here to observe the World Championship finals, and the first time, I mean, it blew me away. Let's talk about the bronc riding. I mean, when you're a professional saddle bronc rider in the professional rodeo world, you have an association saddle that is made to ride bucking horses, and it's made to keep your leg up against the swell of that saddle. And the thought of getting on a hairy bold bucking horse in a ranch saddle has never entered my mind.
We go to Reaper bucking shoes. They are where we are headed for.
These were not spoiled saddle horses. These are big time, serious bucking horses.
And these guys are, I mean, these bronc riders, I mean, they're just ranch bronc riders. Every ranch generally needs a guy that can, sure enough, throw his leg over and start new colts. And now they've come to Amarillo, and we're putting them on hairy bold broncs. We're putting them on broncs that a guy that's been in the business forever, that's been recognized by the NFR countless times. And that's a little bit nerve-wracking, I'm sure, for some of these fellas to know that, of course, those ranch broncs at home, when you start colts, they'll sure enough fart you off as many times as they can. But it gets in their head, I think, a little bit that, holy cow, I'm fixing to put my leg over on a hairy bold bronc. And some take that as, most of them take it as, whoo, I get to tell this story at home. It doesn't matter if I ride or not. I get to say I was on a hairy bold bronc. So these guys, they just get wound up about it, and they want to do, like all of us, the best they can at anything they can. But it sure, I think it rattles their cage just a tad bit to know hairy bolds come to town and they got to match it.
Well, to top it off, Harry sits in our crowd every night. He comes every year. He's watching, and a lot of our guys will tip his hat when they're done to him. A lot of guys will thank him. Bucked off or covered in 84 score. A lot of folks will ask, well, why November? Why not June? Why not July? Why not? Well, November typically is when the big works are finished. Your spring brandons are over, you know, and there's a little bit, now don't get me wrong, there's still work to be done. And it's hard for them to get off the ranch because they're in charge of that 300 head of cattle or more at that camp. But November was a time where it was almost where it was okay to leave for a while.
There's an old Cowboy song that's called When the Work's All Done This Fall. So typically they've shipped. They're just a little bit of a breather unless there's a blizzard at that point. But so November is prime. Everything is situated towards his or her lifestyle so they can come for 3, 4, 5 days without it being a burden to the ranch or the ranch owner or the guy himself.
I don't know really another job that it's 365 days, 24 hours a day. We had a guy off a ranch tell us the year he qualified that when he was standing in the tunnel, he had probably 50,000 thoughts going through his head. And what it did was he was so proud to be there and ride for the brand that he worked for. But he thought in his head of all the things that had happened and took place that year, from family to his own life. And here he is. So you always depend on your neighbor for help when you're in ranching, and your good hands and your cat, you know. But he's like, holy crap, I don't even know the guy sitting next to me, but I know that he would get me out of a bind in a heartbeat. You know, I might be from Texas and I'm standing next to a guy from, you know, Florida, or pick a state that it's 300 miles apart. And he said, I feel about as safe as I can because I'm around my peers. And he's from a whole different neck of the woods.
Video.
Hey, say howdy. Howdy.
Been here as a team. It's going to be Brady Burnham, Clay Forkey, Kyle Hughes, Tyler Carney.
A lot of times on the ranch, slow is better, but we have also seen some things change in the team pinning, where they can get all three head inside of a box, and you have to fit them in a gate, throw them in there, call time, raise your hand, time's over. Well, it sounds easy, but it's not so much.
All right, look at this. We're talking about trying to be fast. They were having a little bad luck. Let's see if we can change it right here. Oh, no. They might have pushed on it a little too hard as the crowd goes to scatter.
Get your right number, the number's called, sort them out. Now, you don't want to squash the herd in the sense that you don't want to get them all radical, you know, and you don't want your cattle to go one way and you're trying to get them the other. So you ease up in there and you pull out the number. If you pulled 6, you're going to go in there and look for all 3 6s. Bring them down the arena, and usually the first one is the demon of the group, you know. You want the guy to go ahead and push him as far as you can, because a lot of times it'll come back because it's a herd animal, so it wants to be back in the herd. And we have seen where they have had 2 standing in there, and that last one comes and typical, spill it. And they all go, and it gets frustrated. And these guys really do have to do this event on a daily basis. Not so much running them into a pen, but sorting out the numbered cattle.
This is the kind of donation that you really like. You know, they don't want to go to the right, they just want to go to the wrong place. And here's the party. And those people down there, look at this. Comes to mind, you know, all summer, they have been racking.
It shows good horsemanship, this event. Actually, you know, every event should show good horsemanship. That guy or gal on the back of that horse has got to trust that horse. There's instinct there. And really, between the horsemanship, next comes the luck of the draw. Because if everybody else before you drew, 1, 2, 3, 4, as far as pulling them out, and they were all nice and easy and just kind of went along, and you got to pull all the 6s or all the 7s, and it just takes one that'll fight you the whole way.
Number is the spray. They've got her time pushed in the right spot. She got her on her. Yeah. Rebel Sky, storm out behind you boys that are coming in behind you a little bit. Good save. All these kind of terrific. They are terrific. Now they got a spray in there they're going to have to take out. And these other cattle just are not giving them any slack. Alright. This is delicate. They got the spray out. Alright, look at this.
So really, luck of the draw has a little bit of play into it, because you guys they have good horses and they know what they're doing, but it just takes one ornery son of a gun to mess up your time, to screw up your plan. That game plan in the tunnel you had has all gone out the window because of one yearling that says, nope, ain't doing it.
All right, we got to come around the red flag. All right, here we go. Close, but no chip. Now, no, right here. Head over. And you may
That one, and right when you think that you've got your plan, let's say, and all of a sudden it takes off, run, here comes the other, and you were so frazzled that it just went right by you like it was standing still. And, but they'll correct themselves on that next day because they've pondered on it. So if they were up Thursday night, Saturday night, they're going to make sure that there's got to be a change.
I can't tell you how many generations every year that stand in that arena, just on a ranch team. There's granddad, father, son / daughter. There's tons of generations all right there. And I don't think there's too many venues or events that you can capture that in one piece of history. And for people to recognize, it's not just Joe Smith. It's Joe Smith Sr., Joe Smith Jr., Jr. And to me, that's the heart of it. That is preserving. Those kids are growing up in the same way their mom or dad did, doing the same thing. And that's why I don't feel that cowboys will ever go away.
That's right.
I don't think it's a dying breed. I know that in years past, people have certainly tagged that and said, oh, the cowboy, it's the last frontier, it's a dying breed. And I realize there's no more land to be bought up and things of that nature, but you just can't get rid of the cowboy. He's going to find a way to do what he does because he's passionate about it. And that's why he doesn't mind calving out heifers in a blizzard or fixing water gaps or fixing a windmill.
Right.
I mean, all those things that, it's really not that romantic. TV makes it romantic, riding off to the sunset and things like that. But he's got such a passion. He's truly a man or woman that loves what he does. And he just happy he gets a paycheck to do it. So we appreciate the generations that are coming through this venue, coming to this city of Amarillo. While you have cars rolling down the streets, you've got guys on horseback getting ready for the next go. I mean, it's quite a mix, but the boys have come to town and they're ready to do their job. It's done for various purposes. Most times it's to doctor something. A lot of wheat pasture cattle. I mean, it can be cow-calf as well, but a lot of wheat pasture cattle. You can't drive them to the pen. The pens are too far away. They need attention right then and there. So you've just got to untie your rope and get it done. You've got some medicine on the back of your saddle. Tie one down, give it some medicine, and move on to the next one.
And a good horse, they'll stand. Because if you watch, they'll take that head loop off first, and that horse that had the heeling ends is your anchor. And if you're out working alone, that's a lonely feeling. You don't want the steer still tied to your horse as it takes off. It gets pretty western. In the stray gathering, can be wrecks just because you're going to have a crossfire somewhere where they might T-bone each other. But our guys and gals will go ahead and collect their thoughts and keep safety also on themselves and the crew and the livestock that's involved. We add fast pace, fast time, but they still have to have the ropes off, stay clear of everything, and tie it in a T-bone cross. Why a T-bone cross? Well, because it keeps their feet locked in there. It's almost like putting handcuffs on somebody. Well, you wouldn't have a doctoring or stray gathering without a heel loop, because that's why we have a loop limit, to create the time. But you cannot doctor something. Well, you can. I stand corrected, but the easier on everybody is if you have the heel loop, and it just basically builds a trap for that animal to step in and doesn't know it's coming. They know that they're going to get a head loop, but on a heel loop, they don't really know it's coming. So they can't, I guess it's just how it is.
And if you ever get to watch one actually lay one down, or you could use your camera in slow motion, and when it's set up pretty, it's kind of a beautiful sight, the way it just stands up, but lays right here across, and then they walk, and it's a pretty loop actually.
Depending on what part of the country you're from, and depending if you're in open space or if you're tracking one that's headed to timber, some dally, some tie on. And that's your preference.
The ranches really like this event because it gives them another guy on the team. A lot of these events have been 3-man teams. We do the doctoring sometimes, but the last few years we've taken on the stray gathering. We call them like-kind events. It's accomplishing the same job at the end of the day. But the guys like the stray gathering because you can have 4 guys out there doing something instead of just 3, where the doctoring you would just have 3. There's several elements to putting on a world championship ranch rodeo in the middle of a downtown Amarillo. Not everybody sees it, which is good, because if everything looks smooth out front, that's when you just go whew while you're fighting fires underneath. Nobody probably thinks that there's 150 horses standing there on the east side of the Civic Center for 4 days. And nobody wonders, I wonder how they get water or anything like that.
When we decided to house, what makes it easier for the ranches that come here to compete? Well, why don't we stall their horses at the Civic Center? Kudos to the directors that will work. Who has 132 whatever stalls that we can set up? Because that's not that takes a lot of panel. You can't just lay stalls down. They have to go ahead and sledgehammer them into the concrete, and then you have to look about the fact that the city, we don't want to ruin our welcome. We don't want to just jackhammer up all the parking lot. And then the next thought was, these horses have never stood in the middle of a street and tried to get some rest. They're not going to lay down, of course, but that's 5 days of standing. A cowboy's horse is his best friend and trusting foe. And the last thing he wants to do is get him hurt, sore, lame. We all kind of pulled our thoughts together and thought shavings. Well, the shavings, we're in Amarillo, Texas. Shavings come out of New Mexico. We have a director that goes and gets those. 1,500 individually, 50 pounds of shavings. We did that for him. Well, okay, so then you think, well, there's not exactly any runoff out there. There's not any water source. What's the plan? We build them by the fire hydrant. One of the directors came up with a contraption that we use with the city's permission. Basically our own little WRCA plug that goes into that thing that we come up with, a contraption, and you can run 4 or 5 hoses off of that. We have exactly 40 water hoses that we spread between 136 stalls. Now that's not all together. That's a lot of people. 136. Well, that's individual stalls spread out from the south side of that parking lot at the city, well, what they call city building, all the way up to the warm-up pad where the guys warm up at. So then you think, well, we got to have lights. So here comes the generators, and I'll be darned if it has not been one of our better ideas.
From there, we do a team picture at 4 o'clock. It's kind of cool because there's nobody in the stands. All these guys are lining up. I mean, just asymmetrical type of thing with these horses, and these guys are bunched up, and while they may be neighbors, they know that they've got to beat the next guy down the line. And that group picture has become a pretty honored thing. These guys take those pictures home, and you may find them in the ranch manager's office, the boss's office, or even in the saddle barn, and they always go in there and they can point and go, I remember the year I was there. The branding is obviously probably the most traditional event. Everybody's got to brand at home. That's how you prove ownership up against the neighbor, and with the state is to have some type of tattoo basically on that animal. So it's our most traditional event. We run 2 teams at a time to kind of make it go quicker. The guy dragon is probably the best roper. At home though, the guy dragon is the one that probably has the most seniority. The ones on the ground are generally the young bucks working their way up. And at home, I mean, of course, you got to vaccinate and do other things. And that there's certainly a stepping stone. There's a ladder there, and you definitely know by what job you have, kind of where you rank in the bunkhouse, in the cookhouse type of thing. So I think our crowd does enjoy it. It just because of the traditional factor, they got to heel 2 head, bring them to the fire, which is not a real fire. It's a bucket full of flour. We do have an iron in it, and the runner just kind of stamps the calf with that flour, taking the iron back to the bucket, and on that second calf, when he brings the iron back to the fire, time is called. Now, we certainly don't like them loping in the herd. They get they get a penalty for that. Generally, you get more done kind of the easy, slow way than you do the fast and hard way. If you blow into a group of calves or cattle, period, you're going to scatter them all, and it's just not going to work out for you. You made a 30-minute job more like a 2-hour job because you've blown through the herd, and they're all going their separate ways. So we do knock these guys if they do that. If they catch something, there's kind of what we call a little lunge. Your horse is just going to automatically normally do. But if you just run in there wide open, we're certainly going to discount you for that, because you wouldn't do that at home. If you did it at home, the boss would probably tell you to roll your bed and go somewhere else.
It comes down to the bottom line. I mean, we've seen people doing really good Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then that Sunday just kicks them right in the butt. In all reality, it comes down to just 1 point, to half a point. We don't know going into it. The room is filled with tension. Literally, they're trying to get things out of us we haven't, or trying to pull director, well, what do you think? And trying to, it is it's good to, me personally, the Sunday, you can see those guys and gals that are just wanting it so bad. We were at Sanctioned Rodeo. We had no electricity or weather had come through. Bad weather. Knocked out off all the power. The Cowboys are going to do their job no matter what. But they did say there is 2 events that we have to have the lights on. And that is the wild cow milking and the ranch bronc riding. One of them joked and said, well, I ride my Bronc with my damn eyes closed anyway, so it wouldn't matter. But, when the other one says, well, but I want them to see me get mugged out by that cow, make history. But, it's a crowd pleaser. It's the event that brings the excitement. And the cows do us a favor by acting waspy.
The wild cow milking would, in ranch rodeo, would probably come near, I won't go as far as to say the whole way, but come near a bull riding. It can get you just as twisted and hurt as much as a bull riding. Now, anymore, there's not too many times anymore on a ranch where you're out milking a wild cow in the pasture, but it does still happen. There's reasons for that. And that's why this event is in the ranch rodeo. These guys, one guy's got to be horseback, 3 are on the ground, and of course you've got your Bud Light bottle, and you've got to milk that cow. Once the cow is roped, the cow must be standing to be milked. She can't be laying down, and sometimes she gets pretty, she's heavy already, and she's already run down the arena. She gets a little warm, she might lay down and try to fake you out, but you got to have her standing, and the rope must be off of the cow before she's milked. And then you, of course, run the circle and hope that you have milk in the bottle. Randy Lewis says it best when he says, if we had to get our milk that way every day, we'd all drink Bud Light. I wished everybody could one time stand in that tunnel when all those guys are bunched up in there, and when I mean bunched, that's exactly what I'm telling you. You can't hardly spit between horses before that grand entry, because they are nestled in there. But there is such an electric feeling at that point. If you could ever put that in a bottle and sell it, you'd be a millionaire, because it's just amazing to stand at the bottom in that tunnel with Randy Whipple getting them geared up and fired up to run out that gate and show the crowd what they're made out of. It would be a ticket seller right there. Well, there's so much energy at that point because everybody's on go. Everybody wants to get out the gate, get it started. I mean, take this and think about the NFL. Think about the NFR. Any type of large sporting type event, doesn't matter. The electricity of that right before it's time to go it's enough to make a guy hoop and holler, and it's enough to make the next guy puke. I mean, that's just the bottom line. There's something about all those flags, all those cowboys and cowgirls, kids that are on teams, being in that arena collectively and carrying their state flag, representing that rodeo that they won as well as the state, and of course WRCA flags, and then that American flag. There's just something about that Thursday night that sure enough puts chills up and down your spine, and it makes you want to come back for more. It makes you remember what this country is founded on and who these guys are and what they do for a living, putting beef on the table. It's how we eat. These guys are carrying on the tradition, and WRCA is giving them a venue to do that, to help showcase their skills and educate the public on what they really do, because they are good stewards of the land. For these guys, if you're not a good steward of that grass and you don't manage that grass, then you don't have a paycheck at the end of the year, because your cattle aren't going to do good. So it's just an opportunity for them to wave their hat and to wave their hand, not only to honor those that are in the stands, but just to say, hey, I'm still here. You can't see me from the road, but I'm still here. Taking care of their cattle, the land, making a difference. And this is the guy that Wall Street forgot, but I guarantee you WRCA will not let them be forgotten, because they're not going anywhere. I'm just telling you, they do it every day. It's their job. It's their living.
Right.
this is Andy Hedges, and I just want to say congratulations to the WRCA.
Hi, I'm Fred Whitfield. I want to congratulate the Working Ranch Cowboys Association on over 20 years of commitment to the working cowboy.
Congratulations, too, for raising $2 million, over $2 million, to give to the Cowboy Crisis Fund and to give to ranch kids needing scholarships.
Through the years, this association has united ranch families and given more than $2 million to its Cowboy Crisis Fund.
You know, who was more iconic a hero than the cowboy? So let's come out and support something that has supported the United States of America in many different ways.
Hi, I'm Tove Cooper. I'd like to congratulate the WRCA on 20 years of excellence.
Working hard and giving people an awful lot of fun to raise money to help cowboys that have some crisis and help send their ranch and cowboys kids to college.
Trevor Brazil here. I would like to congratulate the WRCA on 20 years of service to the working cowboy. I can't think of anything more cowboy than that.